You might have heard me say in the past that in order to enter the IT GRC world, you don't need any technical skills. I do believe, however, that you need certain key skills in order to be able to not only navigate the space, but actually thrive in it. In this video, I'm going to share with you my top 5 skills that I believe you should gain in order for you to be able to navigate the IT GRC world with confidence and expertise. And I'm also going to share one extra secret skill that I believe is the master of all, and that is going to elevate your IT GRC experience. My name is Yanis. I'm a former lawyer, now an IT GRC expert, and together you and I are going on a journey to take you from zero to IT GRC hero. Let's go. The world of IT GRC, in my opinion, is a very interesting one, right? It helps us think, and thinking is actually quite nice. Think about it. If you're in the field of IT GRC, what is happening most of the time? You are required to think critically about many different topics. You are asked to review a particular regulation to understand if the regulation applies to your organization. You are required to map your controls against your environment and see if those controls meet a certain level of standards and requirements that you have set. You might be needed, for example, to review another department to see if they're doing a good job, if they're applying the controls that are set out by you, your senior management, and so on. Or you might need to review your third party to understand, hey, are they compliant with whatever we ask them to comply with? Are they compliant with the contract we have in place, with the requirements that we have set up internally, and so on? So you see, there's a lot of information that comes our way as IT GRC professionals on a daily basis. In those situations, critical thinking is crucial. We need to be able to filter information. We need to be able to understand information properly in order to evaluate it and then to apply certain actions, to apply certain controls, to make certain decisions, and so on. In that process, like I said before, we don't need technical skills necessarily, even though I still believe that we can benefit from having at least some level of technical knowledge and know-how. However, analyzing information is absolutely crucial. We need to have a solid level of filtering and analyzing information in order to come up with solutions, in order to come up with ideas, in order to help our business survive, be safe, and grow. Imagine you have to go through a particular framework such as ISO 27001 or the NIST framework. You need to filter the controls very carefully. You need to map them against the requirements that your business, your enterprise has, and then you need to apply them. So you see, there's a lot of steps that you need to go through in order to make sure that the information is accurate and is correct. You review the information properly, and then you come up with a particular solution or a particular action, whether that is a decision on management, whether that's an application of a control, or reporting an incident, and so on. Analytical thinking, number one, and very important indeed. If you're occupying the IT GRC space, or if you want to brute force your way in the IT GRC world, you are most likely not doing only one thing in isolation. On the contrary, our involvement in the area of IT GRC has implications to many different aspects of the business or the business as a whole, and not just one compartment. We're not just doing work for our team, our closed team, the information security team or the IT team. We are not working in isolation. We are working with other people and to support the business as a whole. And for that reason, we need to be able to see the big picture and not just be focusing only on the tree and missing the forest. Let's say you're in a company that is interested in migrating to the cloud. You have a lot of actions that need to take place before and during that migration to the cloud. It's not just a magic switch and then everything is done. You need to review the suitability and the maturity of your cloud provider. You need to review hardware components and connections. You need to check for applicability of certain regulations, for example, data protection, how personal data are migrating to the territory where the data center, the cloud provider, is located. You need to make sure that the contract with that particular third party is sane and contains all the required clauses and controls and requirements. You need to be sure that the provider complies with whatever they committed to throughout the duration of the relationship. All of those are falling into place, but that is only possible if we are able to see the big picture and not miss the forest for the tree. So number 2 is seeing the big picture. If you are in IT GRC long enough, you will realize that we are often the people who are called to solve problems. Not the type of problem of I broke up with my significant other yesterday, even though that also happens sometimes. I'm talking more about problems such as, can I use a particular application to do my job? Or can I set up a connection with an external party in order to transfer data, and so on and so forth. In those moments, we are called to provide feedback and advice on a particular situation, on a particular problem, and then ideally fix it. There's also other cases, and I think these are the more interesting ones, when somebody reaches out and they don't know that there is a problem in the first place, right? So they are coming to us, describing a situation, and there is actually a problem that needs to be addressed. So then, as IT GRC professionals, we are required to identify the problem and then do something about it. Whether that is advice, whether that is applying a particular control, whether that is going to senior management and require an exception, can be many different things. In any case, we are there to solve problems. And if we are not able to identify that there is a problem, and that of course requires experience and prior knowledge, and then to be able to address it, then we have a problem. Problem solving is absolutely important. Think of a scenario where you have a colleague who is coming to you, asking you to install a particular software on their work device in order to enable their work and to do their work more effectively. Sure, that might sound like a great idea to them, but to you, who knows better, this might entail some risk. That application might not be safe. The data might be transferred to a third country that is not in the approved list of your company. The connection might be insecure. The data might not be encrypted, and so on and so forth. We identify the problems in that scenario, and then we are called to take action and to solve that problem. So, number 3, solving problems. Go out there and solve some problems. This is an interesting one, and it might actually surprise you. If you think there is a one-size-fits-all solution to IT GRC and cybersecurity related problems and issues, then I'm sorry, but I will have to break your bubble. In this area, we need to think oftentimes outside the box and think creatively. I picture ourselves, IT experts, IT GRC professionals, as artists. Instead of canvases and paintbrushes, we use data and information to make informed decisions. While a musician is using their guitar or their piano to bring their ideas, creative thinking to life, we are using our verbal skills in order to convey messages and to convince people that some things should be done and some others might be left undone, and that would be for the better. We need to think creatively. We need to be able to figure out a solution in a way that is working and in a way that is convenient, but also sometimes going outside the norm. If you are called to set up an awareness program for your organization, you can go about it in 2 different ways. You can either draft a simple slide deck and share it with your colleagues, or make a quick recording in order to drive home some key messages, which is fine, but might not be the most engaging, the most interesting way to do it. Or you can come up with some ideas to gamify, let's say, a particular scenario, Maybe have a workshop and ask participants to solve a problem and see how they do. Maybe you can send them some phishing and see how they respond to that QR code that you have attached in that email. See if they're actually going to take their phones and take a snapshot of it and then see what happens. You can go about it in many different ways, but I think creative thinking and using creativity to solve problems is going to help you navigate the area while being able to see outside the box. Okay, we are IT, right? We are IT. There's IT in IT GRC, and when you think about IT, you think about some people in a basement hitting some keys on a keyboard and asking, have you tried turning it off and on again? We've all seen it. By the way, it's a great series. If you know what I'm talking about, comment below. But this is not the case. We are not just some cave dwellers who are isolated from society and the world. On the contrary, we are required to interact with a bunch of different people, of different stakeholders, of different teams, in order to help them solve the problems, in order to understand the particular situation, in order to collaborate effectively, and so on. We are interacting with so many different functions, and we have impact and we have constant connection with a bunch of different stakeholders, whether those are internal or external. So think about legal, for example, or procurement, finance, data protection, information security, marketing. There's so many different stakeholders and functions that require our collaboration. You might be tasked to challenge or advise senior management or legal or the business as a whole, because hey, you're doing something that is not right, that is unsafe, that is posing a risk to our enterprise. You're not complying with our policies. Please do something about it. All of those things. We need to talk to people. We need to be able to convey messages. We need to be able to have soft skills, small talk, but also big talk, in order to convince them that something needs to be done, that certain controls need to be applied, that they need to go through a process, they need to read a document, they need to perform certain actions. These all can be achieved only by having personal skills, interpersonal skills, being able to communicate, being able to convince, and being able to convey messages effectively. So these are all very important for us in the IT GRC space. And eventually, after we grow our verbal and non-verbal skills, we can reach even higher levels when we can actually be more fluent and more capable of communicating whatever we want to communicate. And then we reach a point where we build leadership and master our domain fully. So here's a story that happened to me recently, just to drive this point home. I was tasked to review our third-party risk management baseline across our different geographies, across our different markets. For this to happen, of course, I needed to interact with people. I needed to reach out to every single information security officer and procurement department in each market that we work in order to gather their input and gather their feedback, and then analyze the feedback and come up with an outcome and communicate that outcome to them. In that process, there was some tension, there was some friction sometimes, because there were some of those colleagues that were a bit skeptical about our intention. For example, are you going to do something with that information? If we fill the information correctly, but we are lacking certain controls, for example, are you going to come back and punish us? Which we didn't, but they still needed that assurance. So this is a part of what good communication skills is all about. Going back to them, I went back to them and said, hey, this is just an exercise that we need to conduct if we want to stay secure and if we want to have a proper way of managing our third parties in order to not suffer consequences from a perspective of information technology, of security, of breaches, of incidents, and so on. You need to do it, and it's actually quite important because third-party risk management and supply chain risk is pretty important. This is all communicated only through a proper verbal and non-verbal communication process and interpersonal skills. Otherwise, this cannot be done. There's many different situations where you will be called to communicate with people, and knowing how to do it effectively and in a way that is powerful, understanding, and clear is gonna be paramount. So Interpersonal skills, don't forget about it. So as I promised, I have one extra skill that I believe is the master of them all and is going to be the one that is going to enable you to become a better IT GRC expert, to become a better IT GRC professional, and that is curiosity. I think curiosity is the most important skill anybody in the field or joining the field or considering joining the field should have in order to elevate their career to the highest of heights and have a fulfilling career as well while doing so. We are in a space where there is so much to know. There is technical controls, there is physical controls, there is regulations, there is processes, there is interpersonal skills, there is project management skills, there is access controls, and there is business continuity. There is all kinds of information that comes our way on a daily basis. While not requiring per se technical skills to join the field, I think that's the beauty of the space. It exposes you to all kinds of information. You have the opportunity to learn everything and anything. And in that process, you gain valuable information and insights. It's amazing to me how much information you can find about many different topics. All of this knowledge that you can accumulate through time and studying and exposure is not only going to make you more professional, a better professional in the area, but it will also open new doors for you. It's going to allow you to see things that you didn't know exist before, and then you might be able to discover that, hey, maybe identity and access management is something I want to do. Maybe there is cryptography that is interesting, or I want to deal more with penetration testing and I want to become a pen tester. You have so much opportunity to delve deeper into every single field that the options are literally endless. And I invite you, I implore you to explore and to figure things out for yourself, because there's so much to learn. And for me, that was my philosophy from day one. There is so much that you can learn in the field of IT GRC, and I really strongly advise that you take the time to go and explore. And that is what I think will make you excel in IT GRC. So I think that if you master those skills, you will have a great time in the IT GRC world. I really believe that mastering those 5+1 skills is going to open so many doors for you. It's going to make your life so much better in the space of IT GRC. Going for those skills is going to prove vital and monumental for your success in this space. But now, I'm curious about you. Which skill or skills are you interested in cultivating and are you working towards? Leave a comment down in the comment section below, and also subscribe if you want to join our IT GRC crew and grow together. Last but not least, hack the like button, because that's gonna be your first step into joining this amazing and fascinating world of IT GRC. As always, stay safe and secure both in the physical and the digital world. Until next time, take care.